Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's great to be with you this Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. We are nearing the halfway point of the month. Yesterday on Veterans Day, and again, thank you for all of those that have served. Yesterday we started talking about a new campaign called the Free Funding Proposal. So we're not changing anything. What we've been doing, we're continuing to do, but this is a new campaign that we introduced. Essentially, we're swapping phase two and phase one in order. So, in other words, you can, if you would like, go out to the marketplace and start with the proposition of a free funding proposal, whereby the participant will have no upfront cost. And the process is actually designed where it will be self sustaining, that they won't need to come up with any out of pocket cost through the whole duration. So, with that, I want to spend a little bit of time going through this new graphic. And for those of you that want to be an affiliate, so what we talked about yesterday is the free funding proposal is essentially you can do it automatically if you're an ESP reseller, but if you're not an ESP reseller, you can be what's called an affiliate and offer this. And with that, you'll get the editable pieces, including this, which would have your information here at the bottom and your information here, because everyone that's an affiliate gets a free landing page. But let's go ahead and go into how this one pager is intended to be a great talking point for you. And I believe that if you leverage it properly, you should get 9 out of 10 people that you speak with about a free funding proposal to get engaged. So on the left-hand side, of course, the title is Free Funding Proposal. Subtitle is How to Leverage a Grant to Get a Million Plus with Zero Out of Pocket. And that's a true statement. That's the design of the process, is that you and I can go out, help anyone that's looking for funding to start or grow a business. And as long as they participate and they're normal, that they're typical. Outliers will be outliers, but if they're normal, we'll be able to take them through the entire process and they'll never have to pay anything out of pocket. But let's go through what that exactly means. Again, this is true. So if someone wanted to come and get a funding proposal, they can go to fundingproposal.org or call our phone number for help. What will happen though is you'll have an editable version of this, and your landing page will be listed here and your phone number listed here. All right, so we have a fairly simple graphic that's designed to show a process. The process goes from left to right. It starts with getting a free funding proposal, and that makes sense, right? That's the concept, the pitch, the offer that we're discussing. And the end result is to go get a lot of money in business funding. But let's go through deeper what's included. So get a free funding proposal. So again, if they're coming to us, they're going to go to fundingproposal.org. This would be replaced with your landing page if you're going to be an affiliate, which is free. We talked about that yesterday. So what are some of the important talking points about getting a free funding proposal? First of all, there's no out-of-pocket cost to get funding offers. We don't ask them to pay anything. They don't have to pay anything. They're not even given a way to pay anything. So literally going to fundingproposal.org and or your landing page allows them to get right into the process. No payment due, no payment asked for, no payment collected. Does it mean it's a free program? No, it is not a free program, but payment is on results versus promises. And I think a lot of you would agree that's what most people are comfortable with. Most people don't want welfare. They know that having a team of attorneys and paralegals work for them is not going to happen for free. But if they're only paying from the results, not off of promises, most people will like that. They're going to be able to get funding offers, and there's no hard inquiries on their credit to get those offers. We're going to overcome that concern of, oh, well, my credit's not so good, or my client's credit's not so good. Is this going to work for them? There's not a minimum credit score to participate, and everyone will get at least one offer through the funding proposal. Furthermore, the client's in control. They're not signing some sort of power of attorney where we're out making commitments on their behalf. Not at all. Instead, we're going to present to them offers. They can accept or decline those offers as they would like. In many cases, we'll be able to get 100,000 or more in offers through this first tranche. In terms of timing, that's usually what are the two main questions that you run into? How much is this going to cost, and how long is it going to take? Well, we've already addressed there's no out-of-pocket cost. You just pay off of results. As far as how long it takes, different lenders have different funding timeline, but certainly some of the lenders that are involved with this first tranche will fund as soon as the next day. And then the whole concept here is to get them that initial tranche of funding that they can then leverage, and it'll fund the rest of the process, which we're going to talk about. So let's pause for a moment and answer questions or feedback. What do you all think? We have 632 of you on this morning. Let's ignore everything but just this first column. Do you think this is a proposition that you would be able to go out to the marketplace and attract interest? So, Carla, you're one of our top distribution partners. What's your feedback, Carla, and everyone else? I'm looking for just a brief sentence or so feedback in the Q&A. What do you think in terms of this proposition, a different campaign? Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, what about the shelf corps? Sure, as we talked about yesterday, after we do this first column, we may very well find out that they need a shelf corp, and then you could offer that to them. But instead of them needing to pay the shelf corp out of pocket, they could pay for it out of their first tranche. That's the design. So we're taking phase two and moving it to phase one, if you remember our implementation process. All right, so let's move on then to the second of the three steps. There's a general rule of marketing. Nothing should be portrayed as more than three steps. When you get more than three steps, a lot of people are not diligent readers. Some people are lazy. So usually anything more than three steps, you lose people's attention. So we've been able to consolidate this into three steps for this graphic. All right, so let's talk about what happens then. We're going to build the fundability of their business. Now, is it going to be their current business, or is it going to be a new shelf corp? That's up to them. And we'll be able to consult with them, as we talked about yesterday. Based upon this funding proposal, we're going to learn from them, do they already have a business to get funding off of? What does it need? What is it missing? It's part of that one-page app. And then certainly you could offer them a shelf corp if that would be the best solution for them. And instead of them needing to come out of pocket, they would be able to pull from their first tranche of funding. Okay, so let's go through this. Now, we're going to continue to emphasize this very basic statement that's crucial for program integrity. You have to qualify for funding. Now, there's lots of different types of funding that have different underwriting, but we don't want people to think this is too good to be true, that it's a scam, that it's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's not true. If you want business funding, you have to have a fundable business. So that's what we're going to address for them in step two of the three steps. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, there's people involved, real people. And I think you're familiar with the team. We introduced the new team members and new roles last Monday, if you recall. But the bottom line is we have now, didn't always, but now we have a team of lawyers and paralegals that's going to work with the client to build a fundable business, and by design with no out-of-pocket cost. That's the design. So as long as the client participates and they're an average, they're a typical client, will be able to fulfill that. Could there be outliers? Of course, but we have to build for the masses. We have to build for the normal outcome. So what does that mean, right? We're going to help them build their fundability because they already have the entity that they want to use, or you provide them a shelf corp, one of the two, because we obviously have to have a business entity to get business funding. So either we're using their current business or you can get them a shelf corp. But regardless of that, we need to make sure that we have a strong business credit profile. So we have a staff person that's her focus is to work with each grant participant and add trade lines, real usable primary trade lines that are an economic benefit to the grant participant, but also report on Dun & Bradstreet and or Experian business and or Equifax business to build a strong business credit profile. So that is included. We can also transfer assets to their balance sheet so they have collateral. So remember, we've talked in the past about the three C's: credit, collateral, capacity. That still applies. Maybe we don't talk about it every day. Maybe we don't put it on the screen every day, but that's really what is most important to business fundability are the three C's. So what are we doing? We're guaranteeing funding because we're going to help them with their three C's. So we're going to help them build their credit, their business credit. That's one of the C's. We're going to help them make sure that they have strong collateral, which is another one of the three C's. And then the third C is we're going to make sure that they have strong capacity, the third and final C, by liquidating the collateral. And so all of this is now, we're in a much better position to do this now that we've brought Monica and Valerie on board, our two new lawyers. So this is the second of the three steps that is a kind of a high level synopsis of what we mean by helping them have a fundable business. I see Jeff up in Idaho has a question. His question is, what if they already have all of this? Well, that's great. That's great. So maybe they don't need a shelf corp because they already have an entity that's set up properly, has a good address and so forth. It's compliant. Fine. They don't have to get a shelf corp. I don't think you'll find that to be the norm, but if that's a client specific instance, fine. Don't have to get a shelf corp. And I think Jeff's point is, well, what if they already have everything? What if they already have trade lines? They have a strong business credit profile. Great. What if they already have plenty of collateral? Great. What if they already, collateral. What if they already have capacity, cash flow, good bank statements? Great. Then this is essentially just a quick checklist and we move on immediately to the third and final step. But that's not normally going to be the case. So if they do have everything in place, great. We just confirm it and we move on to step three. If they don't have this in place, then we're going to help them with that. And that's fine. That's what we do. So then we get over to the third and final step of the three steps. And again, the beauty of this is we're taking the client, the grant participant / client through the process. And by design, they're coming up with nothing out of pocket. It's designed whereby the process is self-funded. It funds itself because of the first tranche. All right, so over to step three, the final step. So again, we want to emphasize with no out-of-pocket cost. I think a lot of people need your help. They need our help in getting funding to start or grow a business. But with that being said, is that a lot of them are either skittish, unable, and or unwilling to pay for promises. Therefore, this proposition should really help those of you that are frankly not so good closers. Now, we have some of you that are great closers and you're not having a difficult time starting with the shelf corp. And so that's fine. You don't need to change it. You take Star Maine, you take Mr. Moses, you take Lamy, you take Mr. Walker. A lot of you are selling the shelf corps as the entry point and it's working well. But there's some of you, no offense, no names mentioned, that are not very good closers. So I think this is going to be your bread and butter. Start with free. Start with no out of pocket. But again, let's get over to the third of the final steps. So again, no out-of-pocket cost. We're going to help them qualify for large business funding. It's very important that we continue to be honest and ethical. So when we say things like, hey, if you want business funding, you know you're going to have a fundable business, right? Have you heard about the three C's? And then we're going to help them qualify what we don't want. Some people are not quite as sophisticated as you and maybe myself. And so they just want the funding, right? They just want money. And that's a fine goal, but we have to qualify for it. And that's what we're doing. We're helping people qualify for it. Otherwise, it's too good to be true. All right, so with no out-of-pocket costs, we're going to help them qualify for $1 million or more. Now, when it comes to this dollar amount, you're going to get an editable version of this. You can change that to whatever you want because businesses can get as much or as little as they qualify for. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's these three C's we're going to need to work with them on. So does it, if this number goes up from 1 million to 10 million, does that most likely mean that they probably have to have stronger three C's? Yeah, in general. So it's okay though. We're going to find out it from the get-go what the client wants, and then we're going to build their three C's out to support it. But regardless, let's just use 1 million as our normal conversation point because it's a significant amount of funding that most people will find satisfactory. But that's not a cap, and that's why the plus is there. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to help them access large business loans or lines of credit under the business. So this is important because we were talking to a client yesterday, Mr. Spores. Spores. And Mr. Spores came in. He's already had his first tranche. And frankly, he received 70,000. He didn't receive 100, but he received 70,000 for his first tranche. Real client, real case. Now, in his case, he's wanting a $500,000 capital raise. And so he specifically wants a line of credit because what he's doing is in real estate. So he wants to have access to capital to pull from when he has a project, but he doesn't want to have loan payments if he doesn't have a use of funds. So we're just clarifying here that we can work with the client to get it structured to meet their needs. We need to probably provide some type of understanding to the prospects, the grant participant prospects, of where's the money going to come from. So it's not coming from you, most likely. You're probably not a bank, and it's not coming from us. We're technical advisors, but we're just giving them a sample list so they have something so they can understand. Okay, it could be SBA loans or USDA loans. ABL is a really big deal. There's a big market in private credit. There's even a market in private equity that we can tap into and many other options. So this is not meant to be an all-inclusive list, but it's just painting a broad brush of there's lots of places to get funding if we qualify. We need to qualify. And that's really what you and I are doing through this process is helping people qualify. And again, this is redundant, but we need to really emphasize this is going to be one of your main selling points when you're educating prospects. There's no out-of-pocket cost to them. It's designed whereby they come in, they pay nothing up front to get their funding proposal offers. And if they're normal, they're typical, they're active, they participate, we should be able to raise enough through their first tranche, just like Mr. Spores yesterday, that will be able to go through the whole process with no out-of-pocket cost. Lastly, people are concerned about risk. Well, we're alleviating a lot of the psychological concern of risk because we're keeping them from needing to pay anything out of pocket. But we want to close the document with that by saying, hey, by the way, there is no risk. And yes, funding is guaranteed. And you'll see that in the agreement for them to get a free funding proposal. We're on the hook, not you. We're on the hook. We're guaranteeing them funding. We're guaranteeing them a minimum of 100,000, but that's not the maximum. All right, so we spent about 20 minutes going through, maybe in painstaking detail, this new flyer, this new one piece that has two purposes. First, if you're going to be an affiliate, we need you to understand the propositions. So affiliates are different than resellers. You can be both, but if you want, or you can be one or the other, you can be neither, I guess. But if you want to be an affiliate, the way that you become an affiliate is specifically to go through the process. We don't charge you to be an affiliate, but we want all of our affiliates to go through these 3 steps. Because frankly, the best training that we can ever provide is hands-on. It's called experiential training, where you've literally gone through it, where we've added trade lines. So you have lines of credit. You have if you want a company car. You have if you want company credit cards. You have if you want company lines of credit, whereby you have a strong balance sheet, where you have a strong bank statement. So this is the way specifically the affiliate model is set up. You might like it, you might dislike it, but it is what it is. As an affiliate, no cost. The way to become an affiliate is to go to fundingproposal.org and go through the process yourself. Do you have to, and I see the question from Kenneth. We have 4 different Kenneths on today, but Kenneth J is asking, do you have to complete the process to become an affiliate? No, just need to start it. Just at least complete step 1, and then we'll get you set up for free as an affiliate. We'll give you a free landing page with drip marketing. We'll give you the resources such as this editable document, so we can put your landing page on it and your phone number. So that's the key to to get a ticket to the dance. If you want to be an affiliate, you don't have to spend money, but we want you to go through it. And you might say, well, I don't want to go through it. Then you're not going to be an affiliate. That's how our board of directors has decided to set it up. So I'm the messenger. Please don't shoot the messenger. But I think it's a fair deal. So if you want to be an affiliate, you might say, I'm already a reseller. Well, it doesn't matter if you want to use this platform. But the truth is, if you, like Mr. Hicks, if you're already an ESP reseller, you kind of control this already, because this is phase 2 of the 2-phase process. Getting a shelf corp historically has been phase 1. Then we go through and do this, which is phase 2. What I've learned from some of you cannot close deals if it requires a financial transaction. And no offense, just your doctors, or your lawyers, your dentists, your accountants, just some of you are not wired to close deals. Well, this is going to alleviate that, I believe, because we still need to enroll the client, but it alleviates the client needing to pay anything up front. So, I'm hesitant to say this, but I'll go ahead and say it. If you can't be successful with this model, I don't think that there's a future of us working with you as a distribution partner, because I don't know how you could make it better. But let me go ahead and ask you that question. Again, we have 640 of you on now. 2 more people came on. What do you think would make this better? What have we missed on this? What is not there that should be there? With the understanding that we have some guiding principles. We do not want clients to pay anything out of pocket. So sure, could you add a bunch of bells and whistles? Sure. Would it still be no upfront cost? Probably not. The requirement for this model is it needs to be a free funding proposal. All right, Terry's got an interesting question, and it's a good one. What Terry mentions is, what if a grant participant comes in, they go through and they get the free funding proposal, and they get what they get, whatever it is they get. Let's take Mr. Spores yesterday. He got 70,000. So let's say that Mr. Spores said, well, that's a good start, but I need a little bit more right now. Now, his end goal is 500,000, by the way, not a million. But let's say that Mr. Spores wanted a little bit more than the 70,000 that he's already received. It's in his bank account. It's real. Well, what we could do is either go back for another round of first tranche with him, or we could even bring in a co-signer and go in for another round with the co-signer. So yes, we can repeat this process multiple times if needed. This is going to be one process per entity, per business. We only need to do that once. But then, yes, we can also repeat the large funding multiple times. All right. Starmain's asking some good questions. Yeah. So, as we talked about yesterday, or making up a good point. So, the affiliate model is the affiliate model. It is set up, and let's see if I still have the notes available from yesterday. I can pull up here. Yeah. Let me pull it up here because she's making reference to something yesterday. So this is the training we did yesterday. It's up on our YouTube channel if you missed it. It's where we introduced this and then we described the affiliate program. So the affiliate program, which is what Starmain's mentioning, you're paid $250 for each person that you're referring in that participates. So it's a flat, predetermined, understood amount. Now, what Starmain's saying, and I respect this, is it's not enough. She believes that the affiliate program should pay more. Well, if you want to earn more, I'd recommend becoming an ESP reseller, which you can do on our website, 509 Pacific. And as an ESP reseller, you're going to be able to not only make money on the front end, but you're also going to make 5% of the client's capital raise. So that's available to you if you want it, but that has more involvement, more training that we need to provide more resources. So yes, you can earn on the back end as well, but the key to that is being an ESP reseller. But if you want just something simple, and some of you just really want or even need something simple, I don't know that you can get simpler than this, right? Become an affiliate for free. Just go through the process. We'll provide you the landing page for free, the drip marketing for free, develop your e-contract for free. And then what are you doing? You're giving away free funding proposals. And each time you give one away, you're making $250 and plus the 5% on the back end if you want to become a reseller as well. So, Starmain, do you think that it's unfair? Are you seeing that there's better affiliate models out there where you can make more than $250 for this type of proposition? All right, who else has questions, comments, concerns? It looks like Mr. Stockton has a question, so I want to go back to it. So we're not taking away the whole shelf corp model, not at all. That's really our bread and butter, and that's where we had on the notes, the to get a shelf corp, we have a different landing page for it. So shelf corps are great. Shelf corps provide the entity in good standing with Secretary of State and with the IRS, with the EIN. It comes with the commercial address, comes with the quick cash. So sure, there's all that value proposition available through the Shelf Corp slash ESP model. Absolutely. No one's taking that away. But the point is, you might find that you have more success going to the marketplace whereby the participant can get started to build that trust to get that first round of funding and they have zero out of pocket. So, absolutely, Mr. Stockton, you can still go back and once they have money in their pocket, offer them a shelf corp and they may take you advantage of it. And they're probably more likely to do it because they already have funding in their pocket, right? So let's take Mr. Spores again yesterday. I didn't intend to make him like a success story, but yes, he received 70,000 in first tranche. Yes, that money is already in his pocket. Factual statements. Now, he is a plumber, so he already has an existing entity. So then his decision is okay, well, we need to have a fundable business to go get this large capital raise. Mr. Spores or any other grant participant, do you want to use the current business that you have, or do you want to plug into one of our shelf corps? I think what you'll find is many of them will say, yeah, they want to use a shelf corp because it's easier, it's quicker, and that's where you can still have that transaction. So, Mr. Stockton, no one's taking away the shelf corp proposition. That's what we called phase one. Here, this is actually phase two, but just taking it to the marketplace first. So, with that being said, what is a reasonable number? And we'll close on this. What's a reasonable number of participants that each of you think that you could bring in between now and the end of the month. We have about, what, 18 days left, a little over 2 weeks. If you were to focus on this for the next 2 weeks or so, how many participants do you think that you could get involved to get a free funding proposal? I'm curious of what kinds of volume that you think. So again, we lost one. We're at 639. So just a number. I'm just looking for a number. No one's going to hold you accountable for it, but I'm just curious. Okay. Donovan says 50, and I believe Donovan can deliver 50. So 50 times 250 is a pretty good upfront paycheck. And then, of course, Donovan is a reseller as well, so he's going to make 5% off the back end. Let's see. IT, I think she can bring in 200, and I don't doubt that at all. Rod says at least 5. Carla says 40. So Rod's kind of an outlier on the low end, but what you can see is it just makes sense, right? If you can go out to the marketplace with a proposition that's real, that's credible, that's legitimate, that's fairly easy to understand, but most importantly, right, what are the most important things to your prospects? The first thing that they're going to want to know is, what do I have to pay up front? And what's the answer to that? 0. The second question they're going to typically ask is, how long is it going to take? And you're going to reframe that question and restate, we're going to be able to get you your first tranche funding offers in 24 hours, and the funding could be in your bank account as soon as the next day. Then we'll work with you to build out a fundable business using the 3 C's, credit, collateral, capacity, and we'll be able to go after as much as you want. Now, again, this isn't too good to be true. It's not a bullshit story. We're going to have to qualify for whatever you want, but we can work with you to qualify for easily $1 million or more by building out your business profile. So if you are honest with people, you explain to them how it works, so you set expectations, I think most of you will be able to enroll large numbers. So again, in closing, if you want to be an affiliate, there's no cost, but we want you to go through the process. That's the only way to become an affiliate. You don't have to pay some money now or later, but we want you to literally go to fundingproposal.org and go through this process, so you're a living testimony. You're a success story. So we don't want you keep coming back to us saying, where's the success story? You should be able to walk over to your mirror, look at it in your bathroom or bedroom or your office. You should be the success story. So we're taking a little bit of a tough love approach, and this is going to cost us some business, because some affiliates say, no, I could bring you lots of people, but I'm not going to do it. And we're going to respectfully decline. If you're not willing to do it yourself, then you're not going to be able to be an affiliate. We want every one of you to be a success story. And the only way to do that is to go through the process. And you can't say, well, I can't afford it. Well, there's no cost. You can't say, well, my credit's so shitty, I'd never be successful. No, everyone gets approved. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Again, recommended next step. If you want to be an affiliate, no cost, go to fundingproposal.org and participate. That will allow you to receive the personal benefits, and then you're welcome to be an affiliate for free. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Hope you get involved. Bye-bye.